Welcome, Peter, and thanks for spending some time with us today.
My pleasure.
Can you tell us a bit more about Help a Reporter to start?
Sure. Help a Reporter was a company that I founded back in 2006, 2007. And the mission was to connect journalists with sources around the world. There's a very big dichotomy between journalists who need sources and sources who want to be quoted in the media. They're a very asymbiotic relationship in that they both need each other, but they hate each other. And I know a lot of journalists who are friends of mine, a lot of sources who are friends of mine, and I figured if I could connect the two and make it beneficial for both people, then we'd all win. And I'm a big believer in doing things that are nice, doing nice things. And so this turned into actually a very large website called helpreporter.com with 400,000, 500,000 users as of currently. It was acquired a few years ago, which was sort of a game changer for me, and having fun.
So was your background in the industry itself?
I was a journalist. I have a journalism degree. I founded the news. I was one of 3 founders of the newsroom in America Online. So back in the day, in the mid-90s, when AOL was just starting out, and AOL was considered sort of the internet, as it were, we helped launch that.
Okay. So how did you go about bringing the reporters and the sources together?
I knew a lot of people who were sources, and I knew a lot of people who were journalists. The journalists would always call me. They'd be like, "Hey, who do you know who does whatever? Who do you know who's I'm looking for a source on this or on that." He said, "Oh, let me call and see who I know." And when you promise you're going to do something and you get it done, people come to trust you. And so over time, journalists would call me on a regular basis, and I would put 2 and 2 together. It just became very difficult. It was a long experience. It took my entire day. And so I'm like, let's see what we can do to facilitate this and streamline this. So that was what the website was doing.
Okay.
So with online businesses, is that view that you have to create the community first in order to populate both the content but also to build the body of users? Did that kind of community approach apply to what you were doing?
I think it did in a way. So what winds up happening with great communities, when communities are wonderful and they benefit people, they humanize people, and they involuntarily get people to want to share. Because if you're having a good experience somewhere, you want to tell someone about them. So if you're using Help a Reporter out or any site and you're having a good time, you want to be able to share that. So if you get a story placed by Help a Reporter, all of a sudden you're in the Wall Street Journal, you share that with everyone. Mm-hmm. And when people see that, how'd you get that? Oh, I belong to this great service called Help a Reporter, you should totally check it out, it's free. And all of a sudden we have a new member. So there was a tremendous benefit in that for getting those emails and using it and getting massive benefit from it and then sharing that with the world.
And did that self-perpetuate? Because we hear a lot that people really struggle to create that initial community. So in your case, did it self-perpetuate or did you have to drive it?
I was helping drive it, but it definitely, when people found out about it, they would think of it almost as like a secret that they wanted to share. Look at this great tool that I have. I'm going to give it to you because I'm cool and have it, right? And I assume the guy who invented fire probably felt the same way. He's like, my cave is light, your cave is dark. Yeah. You seem nice. I'll give you some light from my cave, But we all want to be, at the end of the day, we all want to be the people that are connectors, the people that help find things, and we want to be thought of as knowledgeable in that regard.
With communities, people often struggle to work out how to monetize them. How did you go about looking at Help a Reporter from a point of view?
Well, it's funny, I had absolutely no intention of monetizing whatsoever. My goal was to simply help some people, and it would be a side thing. About 6 months in, we had about 20,000, 30,000 members, and people started coming to me and saying, "Hey, can we advertise?" I said, "Well, it's a text email." I said, "So I don't want to do HTML or about that." I'm like, "You can put a small little text ad at the top of each email. That's it." And they said, "Great, how much do you want to charge?" I said, "I have no idea." And so I started $100. And the next person who came in, I said $200. And the next person came in, I said $300. And I basically went up until people wouldn't pay that price anymore. It was a very, someone said something once, thinking, Peter, most startups don't just print money. They usually have to work really hard at it. And that being said, I worked my ass off. I really worked hard at it every day. It was all I ever did. But there was also the flip side of being able to create something that was very beneficial to people. And they saw that, and they used it, and they told friends about it, and they shared it, and it was a positive resource. And I think the world could probably use some more positive resources.
So how long did it take you from start to sale with the company?
3.5 years.
That's a really quick turnaround.
It was a ridiculous turnaround, yeah. And look, I could have kept it and not sold it and gone another 10 years and really grown it, at it. But at the end of the day, you have to know what you're good at. and you have to know what you like doing. I like being a creator. I like coming up with ideas and implementing them. I don't like being a manager. And HARO was getting to the point, Help Report was getting to the point where it was big, and it was going to need managers soon. And that wasn't something I was okay with.
So how did you transition out? Because a lot of people find that once they've done something that's successful, transitioning into something new is actually a real challenge. So
Somebody came to me and they said, we want to acquire you. And they made an offer, and it was a very, very good offer, and I took it. And I immediately went on a 2-week vacation, which lasted only about 10 days because I got bored. I said, okay, what's next? What do I want to do next? And I consulted, I speak a little bit. I've written 2 best-selling books. And so I'm a keynote speaker now, corporate speaker, and I do fun things, and I enjoy it. I'm having fun with it. I think that at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur is harder than being a full-time employee somewhere. There's no doubt. You're working 20 times as hard, but you do it because you love it. Yeah. And I have always promised myself if there was ever a point where I didn't love what I was doing, I would simply stop and do something else. There's a great quote I once heard, 2 great quotes. One says, if you don't like where you are, move, you're not a tree. And I've always taken comfort with that, because I think people are afraid to move because they're afraid of what's out there. But if you're miserable every day where you are, there's no reason not to change.
So when it comes to children and looking at encouraging them into alternatives, you very often hear parents say, oh, when you get a good job one day, or do this so you can get a good job. How do we change the rhetoric so that it's, consider entrepreneurship as a career option?
I think when parents say, oh, do this to get a good job, it's because it's what's been told to them. And in their minds, they believe that if the kid has a good job, the kid will be happy, and that makes the parent happy. The problem with that, though, is that the parent's happy based on outdated, not necessarily outdated, but based on their concept of what the future is. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and I very much want her to do whatever she wants that makes her happy and makes her some money. I want her to definitely take time off and travel and explore after college, or do an intern, study abroad, or whatever. And even in saying that, I realize that I'm projecting what I want on her, what I never got to do. So I just think at the end of the day, I want her to be happy. And I think parents start thinking a lot more about wanting their children to be happy as opposed to wanting their children to be successful. Happiness is much easier to define per each individual person than success. Success is, we consider success based on what our parents had, their parents had, and so on, and so forth. And so happiness is entirely different. Happiness is just what it is. It's being happy. And if that's being an entrepreneur, good.
So based on your experience, what do you think the 3 key lessons you will tell your daughter when she's 18?
Number 1 is own your shit.
Yeah.
You're going to make mistakes, you're going to screw up, and the only time that you'll really, really blow it is if you screw up and you don't own it. Own what you did, apologize, get it out of the way, move on. And I will never have an issue with you if you understand what you did and you make reparations to not do it again. And it's the same in business. We don't mind so much if a company makes a mistake, as long as the company's on top and fixes it. What we mind is when someone makes a mistake and then doesn't respond, or responds poorly. So be transparent. I'd say be relevant. Understand that your audience, having anyone listen to you is a privilege. It's not a right. We're not born with the right to have people listen to us. We're born with the privilege to create good stuff. Or the right to create good stuff, which gives us the privilege of having an audience. So what can we do that creates an audience that people want to listen? And then finally, understand it's not about you. It's your small little speck in the universe, and the best way you can get bigger is by helping other people get bigger. What can you do to help other people? What can you put out into the universe that brings back positivity to you? I want her to know that she needs to put out 10 times the amount of help for every time she asks for it. And and I want her to enjoy herself. I want her to have a great time, and I want her to also understand that if she does choose the life of an entrepreneur, it occasionally gets lonely, because we don't really have a lot of people to talk to. And I want her to have a close circle of people who she can talk to, because I know personally that I've lost a few people to suicide and depression, and they were all entrepreneurs. And it's very difficult, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're fighting a ton of demons from, am I working hard enough, am I doing enough, whatever, and you want to be able to build that. So I want her to have a circle around her of people who she can trust.
You've, from your own experience, as well as you've also travelled around and spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs, what do you think really works in terms of supporting entrepreneurs? Have you seen any programs that particularly impress you, or startup ecosystems that you think work really well?
I think it varies based on the type of entrepreneur you are. The best description for me is the most introverted extrovert you'll ever meet in your life. And then I love going and giving keynote speeches, but put me in a room with 5 people where I'm at a party and I have to make small talk and I want to shoot myself in the head. So for me, it's really about, so I don't necessarily work well in like co-working spaces or whatever, because especially after you've sold the company, someone's always coming up to you asking for advice or something, and I want to give it, and to a point where that's to my detriment, where it's been all day and I haven't done anything. I think the best ecosystems that work well are the ones that allow people to give people the tools and the technology they need to succeed, but also give them tools and technology they need to fail. Because I don't believe that failure is any less beneficial than success. Some might say more.
There's always a lot of comparisons between, what's happening in the US and what should be happening in Australia. Do you think the different cultures actually make a difference to the approach to entrepreneurship?
I think a little bit. From what I've heard, there is very much a culture. You guys are much less boasting than we are. You're much less, look at how great we're doing, look at what we're doing. And that I think can hurt you a little bit. I don't have the temerity to come in as a guest of the country and say, here's what I think you should do better. But I can say that I think that one of the things we're really good at in America is moving very quickly, but making sure that people are aware of what we're doing. So that if we're in the race to get the least viable product, the product that you could show, whatever, we are very good at showing why it's beneficial and what it's going to do, as opposed to just here's the product. Now that being said, when I was at Fishburners in Sydney, I found some kids who were doing some great stuff and were able to explain it to me in 30 or 40 seconds. I thought it was wonderful. More people need to be able to do that.